The Film Study Center was founded in 1957 by actually this person that you see on the image. His name is Robert Gardner, and he was both an anthropologist and an ethnographic filmmaker. And the Film Study Center kind of like comes as the visual arm of the Peabody Museum, which is a museum for archaeology and ethnology at Harvard. So it really starts like, so nonfiction filmmaking at Harvard really starts as being anthropology centered. But at the same time, it comes in a space where it comes in relationship to three other spaces at Harvard. What today is called the Department of Art, Film, and Visual Studies, and the Carpenter Center, which is the only building by Corbusier in North America that is actually trying to like function as this meeting place for art, for the visual arts research and design. And so the Film Study Center kind of like emerges at the core of the conflation between these three places. It's a little bit about like this idea of like working in nonfiction documentary, but also working always in an interdisciplinary way that draws as much from the practices of ethnography and anthropology as it draws from the visual arts, from design, from other forms of filmmaking. What really forms the core of what we do every year is our community of fellows. We have three types of residential fellowships. Some for people who are at Harvard, so the FSC Harvard fellowships, the Radcliffe fellowships, and the LEF fellowships, where we open up the sort of like group that we work with to people from both the Boston community and the international community. What we do every week is basically that we meet in this nonfiction workshop. Most times we meet at least twice a month to discuss fellows' works in progress and to do critiques of their work that they're developing. And sometimes we invite other filmmakers to join us. We've been trying to also open up what we do to other filmmaking practices. So we kind of like try to both stay within what we're making and also keep opening it up to very, very different forms of nonfiction filmmaking. So then the question becomes so much more different, because it becomes, how can research-based processes and practice-based processes inform one another and be productively put into a conversation without being conflated and without becoming an illustration of one another. So what brings us together is this idea that we are super interested in creating methodologies for our own work that are rigorous when there's no, it's not like there's no historical precedent, but there aren't historical precedents that can serve everyone's work in a place like this, right? And so it's almost like everything you make and everything you defend, you have to situate it within the methodology of your own discipline, and this sort of like practice-based methodology that allows you to operate between writing and making. The Sensory Ethnography Lab is a place where a lot of the questions I've been talking about is kind of put into practice, right? It's a place that got started by a bunch of anthropologists who were suspicious of this idea that anthropological writing could come to terms with an experience, with a direct experience of reality. And they wanted to really focus on what was untranslatable, what was not possible to put into language. Where did language fall short of accounting for this estranged distance and sometimes very close encounters we have with each other, with the people we work with? How could technology then be brought in, not to sort of like completely close that immediacy, or to make us forget that it's there, but actually to heighten it, to translate a sense of estrangement? How can the estrangement we have when we encounter reality be technologically translated?
David also, like, he commented a bit of if you have like if you can comment on the fact that like when an artwork like such a film or would be considered like academic published work?
Okay.
Because
Should it be? I don't know if it should
yeah,
be. I don't know. Okay.
that's the question. What do you think?
Okay. I'm not convinced it should be considered academic published, or unless they really want to make a film. If you want, there's academic writing. And I always tell my students it's just like academic writing has been around for a really long time. So if you want to do academic writing, you should just do it and do it well. There's no reason to think that you should do a film just because everyone else is making a film.